What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com. Here are my DFS picks for NBA Saturday, January 27th. These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss our new videos. In this video, I'm going to go over my top picks for today's NBA slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have a 6-game slate tonight. So let's take a look at the point guard position. So I like Austin Reeves from the LA Lakers playing the Golden State Warriors, who have the 11th worst defense overall. They give up the second most fantasy points to opposing point guards. Austin Reeves averaging 29.8 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 30 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate, projected at 28.1 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value, but I do think he can score his season average close to 30 fantasy points, get you 5 times value or more. He's $5,900 DraftKings salary, $600 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 239.5 points scored in this game, and Austin Reeves has scored 36, 28, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 33, 33, and 25 minutes. So I like Austin Reeves here versus the Golden State Warriors. Now, if you want to take a risk on another point guard that I think one of the two are going to go off in this game, you got Russell Westbrook from the Clippers and Jrue Holiday from the Celtics. And their price tags on DK, both of them pretty good. Russell Westbrook at $6,400 DraftKings salary. Jrue Holiday only $6,000 DraftKings salary. So it looks like Jrue Holiday on DraftKings and Russell Westbrook is $6,900 on FanDuel. That's pretty good. So these two guys here, both these guys I think have a chance to put up a 40-plus fantasy point game and smash value. But I think Austin Reeves is a little bit of a safer play here with a much better matchup here versus Golden State. And a more consistent minutes as well for Austin Reeves, where Russell Westbrook only played 25, 17, and 31 minutes in the last 3 games. Although he did score 39, 32, and 47 fantasy points. So Russ can put up the fantasy points in limited minutes. And if he gets 30-plus minutes, he should easily hit value. So Jrue Holiday played 28 and 28 minutes the last 2 games, scoring 33 and 39 fantasy points. So I think you got 3 very good point guards in a reasonable salary right there. So let's move on to the shooting guard position. Okay, so I'm going to give you a stud pick here. This guy kind of pops out the page here at the shooting guard position. You can also play him in point guard in DraftKings. So I like Anthony Edwards from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, give up the 9th most fantasy points to opposing shooting guards. Now, Anthony Edwards averaging 43 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 35 minutes per game with a 33% usage rate. So he's projected at 41.7 fantasy points here tonight. That's under his season average, and that's 5 times value. He's $8,400 DraftKings salary, $800 more on FanDuel. Now, Vegas does think there's going to be 226 points scored in this game, so quite possibly maybe a little bit lower scoring than we would like to see here, but it's a fantastic matchup, and Anthony Edwards could easily score 45-plus fantasy points here, getting you well over 5 times value. And he scored 32, 51, and 32 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 35, 34, and 36 minutes. So some consistent minutes over the last 3 games. So I like Anthony Edwards here versus the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, everyone, it's time to announce the winner of our $25 weekly PayPal giveaway. And the winner is Patrick Bush. Patrick Bush, congratulations. He said in a comment, "Good to see your videos again, Chris." And good to see your comment, Patrick Bush, and everyone else who's replying and commenting on these videos to be entered every single week, to be entered into this $25 weekly PayPal giveaway, but also to give support to the channel and help the algorithm. Those comments mean a lot, those likes and those thumbs up and those hearts. So thanks so much, everyone. Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching. If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal, all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won. And then we'll send you $25 PayPal. So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you. Okay, moving on to the small forward position. So I like Lauri Markkanen. Now, I do have a lower salary small forward here for you, but I just wanted to point out Lauri Markkanen from the Utah Jazz playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 6th worst defense overall and give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing small forwards. Lauri Markkanen averaging 42.1 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game, with a 25% usage rate. He's projected at 40.3 fantasy points here tonight. That's just about 5 times value. Only 8,300 DraftKings salary, 500 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 235.5 points scored in this game. And Lauri Markkanen has scored 53, 18, and 35 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 27, and 38 minutes. So I think he's in a store for a big night here tonight. He's rested. He's got a great matchup. I think he could put in 35 plus minutes here easily and crush value. So I like Lauri Markkanen, who has scored 35 and 48 fantasy points in his last 2 games here versus the Charlotte Hornets. Okay, so moving down in salary here, a small forward that I like is Andrew Wiggins from the Golden State Warriors playing the LA Lakers, who have the 10th worst defense overall. They're middle of the pack defending opposing small forwards. Andrew Wiggins averaging 20.9 fantasy points per game on the season. So that average is not impressive, although he is getting averaging 27 minutes per game on the season with a 21% usage rate. So he's projected at 22.4 fantasy points here tonight, which is only 4.3 times value. So I think his ownership will be pretty low here, but he is only 5,200 DraftKings salary and only 300 more on FanDuel. So only needs about 26 fantasy points here to get you 5 times value. And Vegas thinks there's going to be 239.5 points scored in this game. And Andrew Wiggins, he's been heating up as of late, scored 28, 24, and 28 fantasy points in his last 3 games, playing 30, 29, and 30 minutes. So it's a fast-paced game here and a pretty good matchup. I think Andrew Wiggins could be an undervalued play here tonight. So I like Andrew Wiggins here versus the Los Angeles Lakers. Okay, let's take a look at the power forward position. So, who do I got here? You got Lauri Markkanen, you could play a power forward. Oh, here's a guy who I think Could be a sneaky play, value play here at the power forward position. Take a look at John Collins from the Utah Jazz playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 6th worst defense overall. They give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing power forwards, also eligible at the center position. John Collins averaging 28.3 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game with a 20% usage rate. So he's projected at 24.8 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.6 times value. I think he can score a season average or more here, getting you 5 times value or more. Only $5,400 DraftKings salary. Now he has 1,000 more on FanDuel, so I like that DraftKings price. Vegas thinks there's going to be 235.5 points scored here tonight. And John Collins has scored 47, 34, and 18 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 32, 24, and 20 minutes. So it's a good matchup. John Collins got that 30, 40 plus fantasy point upside. Could be a sneaky play on DraftKings tonight. So I like John Collins here versus the Charlotte Hornets. Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, moving on to the center position. A couple of picks here, including a sleeper pick. So the first one, stud pick, is Karl Anthony Towns from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the San Antonio Spurs, who have the 3rd worst defense overall, middle of the pack defending opposing centers. Karl Anthony Towns averaging 41 fantasy points per game on the season, and he's getting an average of 33 minutes per game with a 28% usage rate, projected at 39 fantasy points here tonight. That's 4.8 times value. But I think he could go for 50 plus here tonight, and he's only $8,100 DraftKings salary, 700 more on FanDuel. Vegas thinks there's going to be 227 points scored in this game, and Karl Anthony Towns has scored 44, 42, and 77 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 37, 34, and 37 minutes. So I like Karl Anthony Towns here versus the San Antonio Spurs. Now, on the other side of the ball, I just got to mention Victor Wembanyama. Geez, what a last name. So Victor Wembanyama, he is averaging 46 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 28 minutes per game. Now, he's $8,600 DraftKings salary, so he's 500 more than Karl Anthony Towns, although he is averaging more fantasy points per game, playing less minutes per game. But he has scored 52, 55, and 49 fantasy points in the last 3 games, playing 28, 27, and 28 minutes. So Victor Wembanyama. Actually, that's a pretty cool name. Victor Wembanyama. It's easy to pronounce. I just was intimidated by all the letters. So Victor Wembanyama, he is red hot, and his salary is pretty good here. I think that it could easily be over $9,000 for his average, his season average, and what he's been doing the last 3 games. Now, he doesn't have the best matchup, and he is on a back-to-back. So with all those things in consideration, the bad matchup on a back-to-back and more expensive than Towns on both sites, and a lot more expensive on FanDuel. He's $1,700 more on FanDuel, so I wouldn't play him on FanDuel. I think Karl Anthony Towns might be the play here tonight, just because of those things with Victor. But I do like Victor Wembanyama, and I also like and do prefer Karl Anthony Towns here in this Minnesota-San Antonio Spurs game. Okay, so a sleeper pick. Actually, before we get into the sleeper pick, I also like Rudy Gobert from the Minnesota Timberwolves playing the San Antonio Spurs. So it's a good matchup. Gobert averaging 36.5 fantasy points per game on the season, playing an average of 33 minutes per game. And he scored 35, 50, and 30 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 32, 34, and 39 minutes. And I also like this pick because he scored 49, 28, 45, 30, and 26 fantasy points in his last 5 versus the Spurs. So I guess 2 out of his last 3 being in 40-plus fantasy point territory is looking pretty good. You might not want to stack Towns and Gobert. I'll probably go one or the other. Again, I prefer Towns, but I did just want to point out Rudy Gobert, who's also in a good spot and could go off here tonight. So I like Rudy Gobert here versus the San Antonio Spurs. Okay, now the sleeper pick, and we actually gave him yesterday as a sleeper pick, and he hit for 28 fantasy points. Played 21 minutes. I believe it was like 3,300 DraftKings salary yesterday. Let's just check it out. Let's check out the log. You can click on a player. You go to the scoring log here, and you can see yesterday he was 3,600. And he scored 28 fantasy points. So that was absolutely excellent production from Kelly Olynyk, who we said can score the ball. So he's an offensive player, and when he's in a good matchup, if he gets those minutes, then if his shot is dropping, he can drop a lot of points really quick. So Kelly Olynyk from the Utah Jazz playing the Charlotte Hornets, who have the 6th worst defense overall, give up the 4th most fantasy points to opposing centers, can also play him at power forward. Kelly Olynyk averaging 22.8 fantasy points per game on the season. That's why I also think he's a good play. And he's playing an average of 21 minutes per game with a 16% usage rate, projected at 22.1 fantasy points here tonight. It's right around his season average, and that's 5.8 times value. Still only 3,800 DraftKings salary. Now, he has 1,100 more on FanDuel. Prefer that DraftKings price, and Vegas thinks there's going to be 236.5 points scored in this game. So he mentioned he scored 28 fantasy points last game in 21 minutes. I'm expecting in a good matchup that he could get 20 plus minutes here tonight. And he also has scored 27 and 41 fantasy points in his last 2 games versus the Hornets. So he's had some success recently. So I like Kelly Olynyk as a sleeper pick here versus the Charlotte Hornets. If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.